You don't know Bo. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. We didn't have baseball fields in my community, so we had to play in the church parking lot. The house across the street was owned by a man named Mr. Taylor, and I would hit the ball out of the church parking lot, would break Mr. Taylor's window. Mr. Taylor would come over to my house, knock on the door, say, Miss Porter, Bo's broke my window again. My mom would tell him, well, I'm sorry, these kids have no place to play. Mr. Taylor, he says, it's pretty obvious to me that Bo's better than most of these kids. Have you ever thought about putting him into Little League? My mom looks at Mr. Taylor, she's a single parent. She had me at 16 years old, and she goes, one, I'm pretty sure there's a fee involved, and I don't have a car. He said, how about if I pay the fee, $25, and I agree to take Bo twice a week when he has to go to practice and to his game. I go, I try out, I get selected. That was my first opportunity to play organized baseball. When people ask me why am I so enthusiastic about philanthropy and giving back and helping other people, it's because I know what it feels like to have nothing. And if it wasn't for the kind gesture of Mr. Taylor, I probably would not be standing before you today. And Green Acres, where I started playing Little League Baseball, is now known as Marquez Bo Porter Sports Complex. I remember when I first got the call. I had a great spring training. I was coming off back-to-back seasons where I was the club's minor league player of the year. We were in Iowa. It was a rain delay. The big league team was playing in Cincinnati, and Lance Johnson, he tweaks his groin. Our manager, Terry Kennedy, called me in, and I sat down and he said, you're going to the big leagues. It was a 6 a.m. flight, had limited sleep, but I'll say this, when you arrive at the big leagues, it don't matter if you had 8 hours of sleep or 1 hour of sleep. Your eyes are going to be wide open and you're going to be excited. Toward the end of my career, I had many coaches that I played for or that coached against me that said to me, they said, hey, when you finish playing, you probably want to think about getting into coaching. And Freddie Gonzalez was my coach in the Braves system. He said, when I get a big league job, he goes, I'm going to have you on my staff. And I looked at him, I said, listen, I'm not done playing yet. What are you trying to tell me something? He said, I've coached against you. And he said, I watched the way you go about your business and the way you communicate with your teammates. You get it. When Freddie Gonzalez was named a major league manager, I was one of his first phone calls, and he called me and told me, he said, Bo, I got the job, new manager of the Marlins, and I want you to be my third base coach. I think the most excitement is coaching third base because you're right in the heat of it. I know a lot of people look at us, give signs, and they go, what in the world is all of that? You can go through 25 sequences and none of them mean anything, and all of a sudden the 26th sequence, you're gonna actually put on a live sign. There is another team that's watching you go through your sequence, so you have to be very mindful about how you go through your sequences, and then also just the decision making that comes with being a third base coach. Do I send this guy? Do I stop this guy? Understanding all the dynamics of your team, all the dynamics of the other team. I came here in 2011 and it was starting to turn. To be able to see the maturation that has taken place here in Washington, it's a credit to Mike Rizzo, it's a credit to the Lerner family and them executing their plan. I look at the staff that we had, they did a great job. I felt like we positioned the Houston Astros to go on and continue that progress. Once A.J. Hinch came in and him and his staff took over, I was extremely happy for them. A.J. Hinch is one of my best friends in all of baseball. Him and I still communicate to this day. And I'll say this, Jeff Luhnow came in with a plan. And he executed that plan about as good as anyone has ever executed a plan in Major League Baseball. I said that to him after they won the World Series because I was there in those lean years and I know how hard the entire organization worked, and I was extremely happy for guys like Jose Altuve and Dallas Keuchel and Marwin Gonzalez and George Springer because they were there when we took all of the punches. So it was good to see those guys be able to stand on the top of the mountain as world champions. I've had a lot of different experiences in the game of baseball, and I'm just excited to be here in Washington with MASN and being able to lend all of my years of experience to the MASN family.